Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie with me, Richard Vobes. And you, the lovely viewer, probably got with two eyes watching the screen, or maybe one eye watching the screen and doing something else with the other one, maybe watching ice cream, which would be a lot more entertaining. Anyway, hello and welcome. It's lovely to see you on the 20th of May, 2020. We have some more videos for you. Thank you very much for coming along on this fine, warm, sunny day evening, or the evening of the warm, sunny day. Let's find out who's out there in the Vobosphere. Turn to lovely Oh no, Julia's not here on today's show. Sorry about that. But she is out there doing her best to make sure that everyone is behaving, which is great. So let's, where's my mousy? Here, mousy. Who we got out there? We have, of course, the lovely Julia. Hello, lovely Julia. Lovely to see you out there. And Ernie, good evening to you. We have Val Williamson. Hello, Val. And Ron and Josephine and Ed. Two Eds today. Two Eds are better than one. You know what they say. And Lee Roberts, hello to you. Nice to see you. We've got Days of Yore. We've got Jen. Hello, Jen. Nice to see you there. And Stephen Gully. Good evening to you, Stephen. Very kind of you to drop by. John Richardson, Robert Crozier. We have Garden City Guy. Evening. Is that the same bloke from the Garden City who was here yesterday under a different name? Maybe he's coming in on lots of different names on a different day. Depends on the day of the week, you know. On a Monday, I feel like being Malcolm. On Tuesday, I feel like being Trevor. On Wednesday, I feel like being Wally. On Thursday, I feel like being Teresa. On Friday, I like being Freddie. Saturday, I could be Simon. And Sunday, of course, I could be Simon. Wait, that's not very good, is it? Stefan. Yeah, why not? So there we are. David Sargent is here too, which is lovely. Thank you very much for coming along to the Vobosphere. Jeff Kellerson, I'm late. Has he said anything funny yet? No, nothing funny at all. Evening, Wally. Yes, thanks. Yes, I let myself in for that, didn't I? Why couldn't I have been somebody like Monsieur Wilberforce? Would have been nice. That would have been a nice name. William Wilberforce, I should have said. But no, I said Wally. Never mind. There we are. I thought Teresa was at the weekends. Yes, well, I've changed it round a bit, you know. It's difficult to know when the weekend comes under this new regime of lockdown. Every day's a holiday, allegedly. Anyway, cheers, everybody. I got some nice coffee here. Give myself a little bit of a... Lovely. So what have you been up to today, midweek, getting through the week? I went to the post office earlier today because I had one parcel and an envelope to go. One to go to America, an envelope to go to America because I've been doing a little favour for a friend of mine whereby they send this little character, this little paper character for the school, the primary school, I think it is. They do this every term and every year. And I've done it twice now. This is the second time. And you take this little character and you take it around, you take photographs of this little character, and then you write a story to go with it, the adventure that you've had with this character, and you send it back to the child who sent it to you, poor innocent waif and stray, and they put it up as part of their project, and they see, you know, where this little character can go all around the world. So I wanted to return this because it's been bugging me that I haven't done it because I've been out in the mornings filming, as you know, and putting together my bits and pieces. So that was one thing. And, of course, you may remember live on the show a while ago, the lovely Andrew Norris had us a bit of a surprise because we gave him a nice sweatshirt. He didn't like the sweatshirt that I was wearing, so we made one up that said Andrew Norris. And I wanted to send it to him so that he could also do some videos with him wearing it and then it would cross the boundaries, which is fantastic. So we set that up. So today I've had a busy day and I ran down to the post office and I was there 1 minute past 3. 1 minute past 3. Perfect timing, I thought. Perfect timing because I had a reading to do at 4 o'clock and I wanted to get to the post office, do that, send it off, then come back, sort out the studio, get everything ready for the reading, the live show. And it was closed. Not the live show. No, the post office. The post office was closed. Yeah. There was a woman at the door barricading people from coming in. I said, what do you mean it's closed? I make it 3 o'clock. It's just 1 minute past. Yeah, sorry, closed, love. What do you mean, sorry, closed, love? A, I'm no love of you, and a yes, I'm wearing clothes. No, no, no. Post office closed. We're all closed. You see, they've moved the post office to W.H. Smith's, which is irritating. Post office in Worthing, where I live, at the foot of the South Downs, the edge of the English Channel, the centre of absolute entertainment and civilization, apparently. The post office has its lovely old building. Lovely building. I don't know how old it, probably from the Regency period. Who knows? It's a lovely stone building. Well, it's probably brick building, but with a sort of stone cladding or something. And anyway, very nice, large building. Been a post office for donkey's years, certainly for 30 years, because I've been down here for 30 years, and maybe longer than that. It's a smashing building. And in their wisdom, they thought, do you know what? It's too big for us now. It's too big because in the post office in Worthing, at various times, they used to get long queues, and they would have about 5 counters, and they would only have about 3 people ever working at once, and some machines to try and alleviate the queues. So you would come in and you'd get in this queue. If you hit it at the wrong time, you'd get into the queue and you'd be waiting, and you could, you know what it's like, the post office. You can do your passports, you can do your savings, you can get your pension, you can draw your dole, I think you can buy stamps. I think there's this thing that you can buy, these little stickers that go on an envelope, little white envelope. You may remember that in the old days, people used to write with ink by hand, and you could do all of that, and you can send parcels. And they thought, yeah, you know, great idea. It's quite big. There were usually long queues of people trying to get in there, and you would queue up. You know, this is the days before the old 2-metre separation rule that we now seem to have. I don't know how long we've had this 2-metre separation rule. Seems like forever. But in those days, you could actually get close to one another. These were the days where you could bunch up. You didn't really want to get close to them because the person always in front of you looked a little bit suspect and seemed to be sort of sweating a bit, had a sort of irritating cough, looked like they got fleas or nits in their hair, and they stank a little bit. But you could get really close and sort of absorb all of their nastiness, their fumes, if you will. You could do all of that in the old days, and it was lovely. It was lovely. You used to go home and have a shower and think, oh, God, I feel clean again. Instead of feeling clean all day long, you would have that feeling of actually touching humanity and being almost in somebody else's shoes. And you may have actually had a conversation with that person. And that person, instead of having a conversation or hearing you start a conversation, that person, instead of what we do nowadays, is immediately turn your back and stick, a mask around your face so that it's like, oh, crikey, they're talking. You, what do you want? No, I can't talk to you, mate. No, leave me alone. I'm not talking. Shut up. You're breathing on me. It's not social distancing. Help. Yeah, instead of what we do now, which was just that a perfect demonstration, I think you'll find, of the things that we do is what I just did. No. You could go into this wonderful, wonderful building. Well, it's funny because in their wisdom, the post office thought, big town centre like Worthing, what we'll do is we'll move these counters. We'll move them. I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. What we need is a bigger one because there's so many large queues in there. There's so many people cramming in trying to get all their stuff. They thought, no, we'll move it to W.H. Smith's in a tiny little corner where there's usually just one person behind a desk going, oh yeah, what would you like? And then there's always 5 people in front of you who do not know how the system works, who've almost never been into a post office before and goes, oh, I'd like to send this somewhere. Oh yes, and where would you like to send it, madam? Oh, I haven't put the address on it yet. I'll do that, shall I? Now, I think it's to Aunt Mabel in Australia. Oh, I don't know where she lives. Well, you've just said Australia. Yes, I know, Sonny, but she's got an address, hasn't she? Now, wonder where it is. Oh, I've got it in my address book. Just a moment. Meanwhile, in the queue that is there seething away, 14 miles going to the end of the pier now because of the 2 metre rule. Where's the end of the queue, mate? Where is the queue? It's not here, mate. What do you do? The end of the queue? What, for the post office in Worthing? You've got to go to Rustington, mate. You've got to get the number 32 bus. You've got to go across the swing bridge. You've got to get onto the main Littlehampton Road, come round the back way via East Preston. Don't go round the Roundstone way because if there's delays there. Then you can get to the back of the queue. It's about 14-hour wait, I think, about now. Oh, right, OK, thanks very much. I'll do that then, shall I? Oh, yeah, you could go on the train. It might be quicker. Yeah, I don't want to go on the train because there's only one person per carriage allowed there now. One person per carriage. And that's usually the driver because there's only one carriage. Yeah, so I went to the post office at 3 o'clock, bloody closed, wasn't it? 1 minute, they decided. Not only are they going to have this post office in the tiniest little corner in W.H. Smith, but also when more people don't want to go to the shops and buy things, and so they order everything online, and then they've got their dress, a lovely floral dress. Isn't it lovely? No, it's 2 sizes too big. I don't know why I chose that size. I don't know why I chose it. Well, look, you'll have to send it back. Oh, yes, that's right. I'll send it back. Put it in an envelope, padded envelope. That's it. Go down to the post office. Where's the post office? Oh, yes, you've got to start queuing at John O'Groats for Worthing, you know. John O'Groats, is that right? Yes, I think so. It's either John O'Groats or Land's End. I can't remember. Try either one. Which is nearest? I don't really know. I don't know. Yeah, that is the situation at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Vobes Show. Very calm and peaceful, collected show tonight, as you can no doubt announce. I've just announced it. I don't know what I'm talking about. How have we? 14 minutes into the show. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. 14 minutes into the show. Let's find out what you're saying, because I dare say you're saying... Has anybody actually written anything? I was just waiting for people to turn up. Do you know, there must be something wrong. According to this, there's only 24 people watching and 1 like. I think YouTube's up the spout because normally it tells me there's a lot more people and many more likes, but it could be wrong. Roy Ballinger says, good evening. Hello to you. Andrew Norris says, yes, you made a vast improvement. Sweatshirts. Fantastic. Robert Crozier said something, but it's gone. Linda Kane says, my father was introduced to his computer at the age of 84. Here we are. This is your computer. Computer? Hello there. How do you do? I'm a computer. Nice to see you. Because a computer can't do that now. Not allowed to shake hands. Robert Crozier says, same here, MPPO converted into a bar and hotel. That's it. I'll have 3 first-class stamps, please, a packet of peanuts and a pint of double diamond, if that's all right. Oh, and can I have self-liquors? Self-liquors? What? Self-liquors. But, yes, this is a liquor store, isn't it? No, self-liquors on the stamps. I don't want any of those peel and stick. I like the ones you lick, because I like the gum. It's nice. Gum. I love a bit of gum. What else we got here? Garden City Mark has retracted his statement. Fair enough. Till number 1, please, says Graham Roffey in the technical voice that you have to have. Can you imagine the audition for that at the wherever they recorded it? Well, we need to record a little voice thing so that people know when to come forward, because you know what people are like. They're so ruddy thick that they'll see an empty booth and a person sitting there going, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? And they just won't go forward. So we better have a tannoy announcement at that point. Oh, yes, that's a very good idea. Very good idea, Chief Sitting Bull. What do you think the tannoy should say? Well, if we were to number them, if we were numbering them, we could say, could you please make your way over to the number 1 area and we will attend to you. Yes, that's very nice, but isn't that a bit long-winded? Yes, that's true. Maybe we could think better on that. Let's think again. Oi, you, get over here. How does that sound? That's a bit too direct, is it? I think we could be a bit more, condescending? Oh, yes, condescending. Perfect. We'll have a great flashing number, which is so bleeding obvious, and then we'll go, cue number 1, please. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Perfect. There we are. Write it in stone. I'll tell you also what we'll also do, just for a bit of a laugh, we'll spend a ton of money, we'll change it from Royal Mail and we'll call ourselves Insignia. No one will know what that bloody means. And then, for another ton of money, we'll change it back to Royal Mail. We'll make a mint. A mint. You can't do that. That's another government department. Oh, yes, the Royal Mint. Sorry, I forgot about that. Maybe they could change their name to Insolvent. Yes, I think they are insolvent anyway. Ed Loud says, I wonder if you could post a letter not much bigger than the stamp itself. Yes, that's true. Stamps. Well, if you were sending microdots in the post, you could do that, could you not? Jane's allowance, I would send letters, but I find a pen post office that's not at the back of the shop is difficult. Yes, a pen post office. I'm not quite sure what they are, but if I find one, I'll let you know. I am a fountain of knowledge, especially with fountain pens. Garden City says, we have a late 1800s building that was our post office, but now it's a disused office block called, strangely, the Old Post Office. And now the post office is at the back of a small convenience store that was called the Coal Bunker. The inconvenient coal bunker. Henry's Adventure says they've done that in Chalfont St. Peter. Oh, yes, the Chalfont St. Peter, home, I believe, of the SSVC. The post office is in the back of a corner shop. Yeah, where have they put the corner shop? That's what I want. I bet it's not on the corner anymore. They've moved it halfway down the street. That's the problem. You go, I'll just get nipped down to the corner shop. No, it's not in the corner anymore, mate. What do you mean it's not in the corner? No, it's in the middle of the street. Well, where's our house then? Our house in the middle of the street. Oh, no, our house has been moved 24 stories up. Our house on the top of a skyscraper. Doesn't quite scan, but you get the meaning. Mike Stevens says, doesn't make sense, does it, Richard? No, it bloody doesn't make sense. It's almost in a gobbledygook, you could say. Only gobbledygook is a lot clearer. Jeff Kellison, I will build you one that will shake hands if you want. Oh, a little computer. Hello. That would be lovely. Robert Crozier says, they tell me that on Train Henry, in his hand. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Jen's allotment says, oops, sorry, keyboard issues, opened an open post office, not a pen post. I was interested in a pen post office. I thought you had something there. I thought you had a new design that maybe somewhere in the future, some person will go, oh, we could make money, me and Jen, on this, a pen post office. A post office that sells pens that you can post. And then you can use the pen to write a letter. Graham Roffey says they falsely imprisoned people they thought were cooking the books. That's true. And if you've ever been into one of those places called a restaurant, they do a lot of book cooking up there. It's quite nice with a white wine sauce, apparently. Julia says she's in sync, which is great. I would get out of the sink, wash yourself down, and use the tea towel, probably. Henry says, when Chalfont St. Peter had a proper post office, I remember waiting in there for ages for my mother. I turned the since round to say closed. What? I turned the sign. Obviously it's sign. Why did you read what he wrote? I don't know. He wrote what he meant. He meant since. Anyway, the phone line is open if you wish to give me a call. Then we'll play a video in. We've got a number of videos, as you probably guessed. Robert Crozier says it's gone. Keep refreshing. It's been for about a week, says, keep refreshing and also keep washing. Keep washing your hands. Jen's allotment says, I was hoping you could guess. I was intrigued to see if I knew the area. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about now. What is that coffee? I need some, says Josephine Souter. It's a brown liquid that I boil up in the kettle and then I swallow it. I add a bit of milk, don't use sugar, and it comes out the other end in a sort of orangey colour at some point, but don't let that worry. Just saw the comment, Jen. Sadly, I don't know what that part of the world. No, I don't know that part of the world. There's lots of parts of the world I don't know, but some of them are missing. Some of them are missing. If you've noticed, if you've ever been up in space, and I did sit in the space station once in the long distance past, he lies glibly, nobody's noticing, and I looked down on the Earth and I saw a whole load of land that was obviously just flown off the Earth, leaving these sort of empty, watery places. Not, you can't really live there very easily unless you've got the sub-aqua equipment that old Jacques Cousteau used to have. He had a lot of that sub-aqua equipment, didn't he? Right, nobody's called, so let's go to the video box. And in the video box tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have all sorts of things, but I think we'll start with, is Chris out there? Elfwold? Elfwold? Are you out there? Lovely Chris Elfwold has sent in a video. I think this is the first time you've sent a video in. He's been up somewhere interesting, like a hill, and he, as you do, he stumbled across a brass band on the top of a hill. Yes, somewhere up north. Go on, have a look. Oh, hello. Sorry, I was just looking at the map to see if there was any hills there with brass bands on them, marked on the map. Lovely. I love that, Mr. Elfwold. Chris to his friends. Is he out there? I haven't seen his name pop up. I hope he is, because he sent it in specially to be played on the show, as opposed to used as a doorstop in the wonky thing. But there we are. No, fantastic. Isn't that strange? Imagine going up to a top of a hill and seeing a brass band. That's lovely. I wish they'd played something a bit more less mournful, but it was very nice, very nice. Nice to have had something a bit more upbeat, you know, like Do the Locomotive or something like that would have been great. Kylie. Would have been nice to have gone up the hill and there seen Kylie on the top going Do the Locomotive with me. Whatever the what I wonder what that is, doing the locomotive. Anyway, it's not worth worrying about because I don't think Kylie does that anymore. So there we are. Nice bit of brassy stuff. And of course up there you'd get a brass neck, wouldn't you? Probably cold enough because they all looked like they had coats on. Was it cold enough to warm the cockles of a brass monkey? If it is a... Do they have brass monkey? A brass monkey, isn't that the thing that holds cannonballs, if I remember rightly, if I'm correct? The thing that holds cannonballs. Is Ed Wolf? He'd be so upset if I've played his video and he's not there. It's a rage of outness. But there we are. So that's good. What else have we got? It says, thanks for that, Elfwold. Yes, I haven't seen him. But Linda Kane says, maybe as I say okay, hang on a minute, okay, until a short time ago, never mind. All right, okay, please do. Lovely uplifting video. It was an uplifting video, yes. It was nice. And it was up, definitely up. What would you like to see if you were climbing? Here's a question for you. If you were climbing somewhere, up a hill and what have you, what would you like to stumble across on the top of a hill? Apart from a cafe or a drinks dispenser or a Xerox photocopier, you know, what would you like to... Because I'm sure a lot of people would like to get on the top of a nice big mountainside, see a photocopier and then photocopy their bottoms. A lot of people seem to like that sort of thing. I don't know quite why. Do give us a call, 0793 47467990. 0793 47467990. Give us a call. Have a chat to you about the things that you would like to see on the top of hills. What would you like to see? A tree, yes. Grass, yes, that would be nice. In Hungary, they have a lookout tower on the top of most hills, says Henry. Oh, that's nice. What are they looking out for? Are they worried that they're going to be invaded by something like a herd of wildebeest? What are they? That would be interesting to know what they're looking at. And is it a tall lookout? Is it sort of, And what sort of period are we talking about? Are we talking about a modern period? Or are we talking about a historic period? Some hexagonal or octagonal tower? We have a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. We have a phone call. Let's find out who it is. Calling up the old Vobes on the Showbie. Hello to you. Oh, hang on. I'm not plugged you in. Hold on a second. Hold on. Try that. Hello to you. It's gone. It's vanished. Do ring again because I didn't have you plugged in. I didn't have you plugged. I don't know what happened there. I didn't have you plugged into the desk, which is a shame. Oh, are you still there? I don't know. Are you there? Hello? No, definitely not there. I forgot which knob it is. It's not that knob. One of the knobs. Anyway, give us another tinkle, why don't you? 0793 47 46 790. Sorry about that. I thought hello. And I did say hello, but there was nobody there. Mike Stevens. Oh, that was funny. That was a ghost. I don't know if you heard that, but I heard it in my head. Mike Stevens says, on Great Gable, Where's Great Gable? I'd like to know where that is. Let's see. Here we are. I've got it now. Where's Great Gable? Hello to the caller calling in.
Great Gable is in the Lake District, Richard. You should know this.
Oh, I can hear the show in the background, Robert Crozier.
No, that is not the show. That is a film called Gallipoli.
Oh, well, it's a very nice
About
film.
the First World War. There you go. I've knocked it off.
All right, Gallipoli.
Great Gable is in the Lake District. It's one of the highest peaks in the Lake District.
Is it?
It is, yes. One of Wayne White's favourites.
And have you been up there?
I have, yes. I've done most of the peaks in the Lake District, yes.
Have you been in the Peak District in the last few weeks to see how many people have been peaking about up there?
Do you know something? I've never been to the Peak District.
You've never been?
No. I've done quite a bit of Yorkshire.
Oh.
But Derbyshire, I've never done any of Derbyshire.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
will do.
Yes.
I was hoping to bump into Kevin there.
Oh, well, he's often up that way. But the Lake
He
District, you've been inundated at the Lake District, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, it's an absolute joke. People are driving over 100, 150 miles to come, and the police are just turning them away.
Are they?
Which is the right thing to do.
Is it?
Because it doesn't let us locals go. I'm only 20 minutes down the road.
But what about the locals who wouldn't mind a little bit of the cash that
That's very true.
the tourism?
That is very true.
Don't they rely on that?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely do, but nowhere's open.
But no, well, they should open then, shouldn't they?
No, well, yeah, I mean, all the pubs, the restaurants, hotels, all the things that locals rely on off the tourism is closed. You can't even go on a steamer on Derwent Water or Windermere or Coniston. It's like deserted. I've not been, but the local news, it's not just all sheep rustling up here. They report on it, and the place is deserted. It's quite eerie.
Is it?
Considering in this weather, it would be like Blackpool.
It's a shame, though. The police are. If the police are turning them away, and the locals aren't actually going there, so it's a ghost town, then the police shouldn't turn them away.
Yeah, but
yeah, but what?
Yeah, but they don't want them coming here just yet because Cumbria is a COVID hotspot. Sorry to bring the C word up, but it is.
How is it? Why is it a hotspot for the C word?
I've no idea because the place is deserted.
Well, exactly.
Richard, you've been up here. You've seen how empty the place is.
I know, and that's what I don't understand. I think they're lying. I don't want to say they're lying, but I think they're just not telling the truth. I think they're saying that to stop.
Yeah, I think it's blown out of proportion. I really do. I'm lucky where I am. I'm surrounded by countryside, but I would like to, like you, I want to go further afield.
Well, yes, exactly. But I don't. If it's overly busy, then people will go away, won't they?
But they'll come back. They'll absolutely come back. I know they will.
So what have you been up to then recently? Let's change the subject away from the sea.
Oh, yes, get away from the C word. Oh, gosh, yes. I've been out filming. I believe I sent you three short bits today, because I know you don't like them long.
Well, you've sent me a 4 and a bit minute one.
Yes, and I think they're all about 4 minutes. I just had to wonder. I went out on the bike, as you do, like you do.
Yeah.
And I just went round the local area, and I thought, you know something? Why don't I just wander around where I am?
Yeah.
Because it really is picturesque. I mean, you'll see from the videos itself, it really is picturesque here. I mean, less than maybe 300 yards, there's a river. And it's a very big river, and it's very picturesque. You've seen it before when it was too windy. But it's the same river that we saw when we went to Lacey's Cage, remember?
I do, yeah. Nice, Lacey's Cage. Cave.
Yes. Yeah, you liked it with the old quarry and the...
and the train.
And the cage, yes, and the old railway line there.
And where there was a mill. There was a mill, didn't we?
There was that huge millstone, yeah.
Yeah, we were doing our detective work, you and me.
Oh, yes, yeah. And you couldn't remember my name then either, because I was just watching that video today.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember who the hell you were. The funny thing is, here's a funny thing. I was contacted, but somebody had watched the monastery video.
Oh, yeah.
And they said they were very nice. They were very polite, put it like that. They said, oh, Richard, it was a very nice video you made of the monastery, but I think you know, there was a lot more to it that you could have told us. And I did have to laugh because it was the worst place I've ever been to.
You know something? I always liked the place until I brought you.
Yeah. And
you've ruined it for life now.
Well, the thing, I mean, it's no reflection on you that I didn't like it. I just found it very garish. But clearly, this didn't. It was the way this chap was very nice, and he was very polite. And I thought, and he said, there was a lot you missed out, and I thought, and you could have told us more. And I thought, surely it came over in the video that I couldn't stick the place, and the last thing I want to do is to do any more. But he did send me a whole load of stuff about the Buddhist way of life, and many ways that you can build a lovely monastery out of a 1950s square box. Which is what it was, with a lick of poster paint.
I couldn't see that until you went, hang on a minute, it looks a bit like a 1970s shopping arcade.
Yeah.
Looks like a shopping centre.
It's like one of those things that you see in the zombie apocalypse films.
Yeah, where they're all shut in. Zombie Dawn of the Dead.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, I haven't been back since. I've been up that way because you know as well as I do, it's gorgeous countryside up there. It's very wild and it's unspoilt.
The journey there was wonderful, and the driving was superb, as I recall it.
I needed counselling after that.
I'm sure you did. But the hillside, Galloway and Dumfries, beautiful.
Dumfries and Galloway, yes,
well,
it is. It's
whichever...
absolutely wonderful. I believe Mr. Suggett went out there with his in-laws, and he was very impressed as well.
Yeah, it is very nice. So you've got to say it that way round, have you? Dumfries and Galloway, you can't do it the other way round?
Oh, God, no, you'll get lynched.
Oh, will I? Oh.
Yeah, we take it very seriously.
And that place, the little place that we stopped and had a cup of tea in...
That was wonderful.
Wasn't that nice?
Newark.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, the soup was very nice.
Very nice.
Soup and a sandwich.
Apart from that American woman... No disrespect to other Americans
no,
watching.
Certainly not Jeff Kellison. Certainly not...
Lisa Fox and others in America.
Oh, what's his name? The guy with the deep voice.
Well, there's a lot of them with deep voices.
The film guy.
The film guy?
He phoned you a few weeks ago.
Oh, well, I can't
pretending
remember.
to be somebody else.
I can't remember what I was doing this morning. But yes, we were there doing the British thing of queuing.
We were.
And this American woman just sort of marched in and just took over.
She did.
She did. And another thing, I'd like to order some of that lovely. What were they? What were the pies or pizzas or not pizzas? What were they famed for? They did these. What did they do in there that we were all quiches, wasn't it? It was the
Quiche,
quiches.
yes, it was quiche.
They're these
They
amazing.
did, homemade quiche, which was wonderful, as I remember.
And we were just on the verge of going, as it was our turn, just on the verge of going, oh, yes, I'd like to order this. And just as we sort of opened our mouths, she's going, oh, yeah, no, I'd like to have some of that. I made her Australian then. To just butt it in. It was just so rude. And, of course, everybody, we all sort of looked aghast, but she was, with some other fella, and they got what they wanted, and that was that.
Anyone that wears them stupid over large scarves around the neck and a leather jacket over their shoulders, they've got to be dodgy.
Yeah.
They've got to be, yeah. It was funny.
It was. I mean, it's great now to look back on it, but the monastery, that was the worst place on earth.
No, I haven't been back since, even though I've been tempted, but I've never been back since.
I gather though that on the strength of my video about it, they have actually razed it to the ground. The JCBs have been in and they've been expunged.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I mean, there was a lot of monks knocking about. You know what they say about these Buddhist monks?
Yeah, what?
Yeah. They'll probably just punch it and just destroy the JCBs, do that power punching that they do.
What was that? What were those strange urns that were going? Wind urns or something? The burial.
Prayer wheels.
Oh, prayer wheels. Yes, that's right. They just look like some Neolithic urns on a turntable with a few hieroglyphics on the back.
Sanskrit.
Yeah, that's it. You can bless you.
Yeah, I thought, it was either that or a place called Hermitage Castle.
That sounded nice. You didn't take me to Hermitage Castle?
Well, next time you come up, I will take you to Hermitage Castle.
Yeah.
I will get you and the lovely Julia, if she comes along. I will get you all in. I've posted photographs of it from a visit a few years ago on the page, and it really does look something out of a horror film.
Well, I bet you it must be the best place to be during lockdown, Hermitage Castle.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, you have to pay to get in, but now you could just climb over the gate, as I'm tempted to do.
Well, there we go. What are we saying here? Ben Reeves says, interesting fact about Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee, it wasn't him who rang in, was it? Christopher Lee may well have been the last person alive to have witnessed a French public guillotining. Think he was 5 to 8 years old when he witnessed an execution in the late 20s.
Christopher Lee, I've read his book, Tall, Dark and Gruesome, and he's had some life. He was in the original SAS.
Was he?
He was, yeah, and he hunted Nazi war criminals after the war. He's done all kinds. You'd be surprised. I think it was. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what it's about.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Anyway, he plays Saruman, a kind of opposite of Gandalf, the good wizard.
He was in James Bond, wasn't he?
Yes, Scaramanga, that was. Saruman the White, he was a wizard, and Peter Jackson said to him, for his death scene, imagine you're getting stabbed in the back. Just imagine how that feels. And apparently Christopher Lee turned to him and he said, I don't need to imagine, I have been stabbed in the back. Literally.
Oh, literally. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, he was quite a guy, Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
There's more to him than just playing Dracula and a three-nippled Bond villain.
Yes, the three-nippled Bond villain.
Scaramanga.
Yeah, that was a good. That was a James.
That was the best
That was
one.
Roger Moore one, wasn't it?
No, yes, it was a second Roger Moore.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was his best one. Roger Moore's anyway.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, it's been lovely to natter to you. We're going to bung a video with you in it now.
Oh, you better had.
Yeah.
I'm just reading some of the. Mark Selwood, Hermitage looks like the Keep in the movie The Keep. Mark, you're dead right, and The Keep is a wonderful film. Anyway, Richard, I'll let you go.
You're very kind of you.
Because you've got videos to show and other people to ring.
That's it.
Doke.
Nice to talk to you. Take care, Robert.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we are, the lovely Robert Crozier there calling in. I'll try to switch him off. That's it. Nice to have a good old nin-natty noo-noo. So let us have a quick look then at what Robert's been up to in his recent creation.
Hello Vobernauts, and where do you find me today? Well, I haven't gone far, I've just gone about a quarter of a mile. This is my home village of Rockcliffe, and as you can hear, I'm in the churchyard, which is just behind me there. There we go. I'm not sure how old the church is, but I think it was rebuilt early Victorian, and believe it or not, it was actually struck by lightning in the early 1900s, and there's an old photograph somewhere of the spire missing off that church. I wish I could. I'll dig it out somewhere and I'll post it in photographs later on. But as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful here. This is Rockcliffe. It's mostly old houses, but there's one or two new ones. I'll just pan round and you'll be able to see what is the churchyard. Round, 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 round. Now this is an interesting thing about the churchyard. It has this. This is an old Saxon wheel cross. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? This proves that there was a church on this site 1,000+ years ago, and no doubt a few famous people actually came here. I would assume Bonnie Prince Charlie, old Braveheart himself, came through here. Just panning up to that spire, that's the one that was struck by lightning. Look at the church, it's wonderful, and look at that. I absolutely love that old wheel cross, and I'm so glad that it hasn't been taken to the local museum, Tully House. It's still in situ. Isn't it wonderful? Now this is probably 1,000+ years. It's very weathered, but I've seen old photographs of it and you can see figures carved into it and a crucifixion scene. Also a dragon, which is an old symbol for the devil folks, in case you didn't know. Just pan round the other side, you might be able to see some Celtic knotwork there, and the cross itself. If I pan round, I shall take you up to the doors of the church. Like I say, it's not a particularly old church. I think it's been rebuilt in the 1850s on the site of a much older one. It's quite pretty inside. It's a shame we cannot go inside. That bloody COVID, I don't know. But if I pass... Oh, whose is that bike? I wonder. If I go to the red doors here, you can see the view. Just look at that view. That's the village green. That often gets flooded, and that huge house is Castletown House, which I've mentioned umpteen times before and taken photographs of. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at the gap there. That house replaces a castle that was dismantled, and the house in Palladian style was rebuilt. And look at the view that they got. I mean, look at the view from the church, the village green there, and out towards the river. That's the River Eden, as I've mentioned umpteen times, which I'll be heading there in a few minutes. I'll just let you drink in the view, listen to the birds, and I'm going to turn off. This is part 1, by the way. I'll try and do part 2 and part 3, and obviously you'll get them in later tonight. Hope he shows them tonight, and if he doesn't, I'll be having words with him. Right, okay, I'm going to sign off for now, and toodle pip for now.
Lovely. How lovely is that? Isn't that lovely? It's lovely. Well done. Thank you very much. That was Robert Crozier there. Nice to see you and nice to talk to you. And, of course, it could be you that I talk to next. If you so wish to give us a tinkle, and then if you've sent me a video, of course, we can chat about it as well. 07934744679. Okie dokie. People talking about The Wicker Man. It's an interesting that because I've never seen The Wicker Man. I've heard people talk about The Wicker Man. I have absolutely no idea what it's about. I thought The Wicker Man, when I've seen it written in things like the Radio Times, when it would come on the telly and that sort of thing, or whenever it was, I thought it was about somebody who made the wicker chairs. But I had no idea what it's about. So if you do know, then let me know. Let's find out who's calling the Vobes. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon. This is Barbara Charles.
Hello, Barbara Charles.
I thought maybe your wonderful viewers would like some intelligent conversation for a change, so I'm throwing them a bone.
Okay, let's have some intelligent conversation. I'm picking up the bone.
I was going to put the ball in your court.
Oh, what, you mean I've got to
Okay.
start the conversation off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Georgian architecture is very nice.
Well, we don't have any Georgian architecture because we didn't name it Georgian architecture in the colonies.
Ah,
They
what did you
called
call it?
something. 1700 architecture, 1700s or something like that.
Right.
Classical architecture, things
yeah.
like that.
Oh, okay. Was that because that you basically were against George because they were English? Although actually it was German, wasn't he?
They cut out a lot of the British expressions, yes. But the towns and villages that were named after places in England, like Boston, all sorts of places.
Norfolk.
They took the names with them when they came over here, and they all stayed the same. So have that.
Did they sort of do all of this anti-English thing after the Tea Party? But prior to that, were they all fine?
Yes and no.
Well,
See, they were greedy and they wanted all the money for themselves.
Who are we talking
It's always
about?
The colonists.
Oh, the colonists wanted all the money for themselves and not pay any taxes to the Brits, to the English.
That's right, of course. It's always about the money, no matter what you say.
Mm.
Oh, we came over here for religious freedom. No, you didn't. You came over here for a better job. Let's talk about the truth, okay?
But that's not a bad thing, though, is it? Because if you don't have a very good life and life is a bit crap and what have you, and there is this wonderful world that's been painted to you, a new brave world that you could go and conquer and be somebody and achieve something, we all have an element of that wanderlust in us, don't we?
It's not wanderlust, it's greed. And greed is actually a good thing because in order to support your family, the family that you've created, you have to have some measure of greed so that you can make money and get ahead and make more money and give them a better life, okay?
Okay, from
it doesn't always work.
That doesn't sound too greedy,
way.
though, does it? That doesn't sound greedy with a negative connotation. I always think of greed as being a negative, whereas what you've described is actually a good thing. You want to better your life. You want to make some money to give to your children and help them out. That doesn't seem unhelpful. That doesn't seem mean or greedy, does it?
Well, like many sins, greed has two sides to it.
Right.
Okay? I mean, let's talk about the sin of lust. Well, keep it clean. I know this is a family show. If you have too much lust, it's called a sin, If you're a jack of the lad, you're being sinful. But you have to have some lust in order to procreate and keep the species going.
Yes.
So that we have little Anglicans in the next generation.
But who's the person that says that too much is you've crossed the line? How do you demarcate that?
Well, that is why we're given the gift of being able to judge things, okay? Now, when I look around me at the present generation, I despair that if they have any judgment at all. but we are given the ability to formulate a sophisticated network of judgments. And therefore, hold on. I'm on the phone!
I'm on the phone!
Oh, for God's sake. My bloke is here.
Oh, is
he
he?
wants me to cook him a homemade meal. That's fine. So then he answers the door, and he sends the guy away. I said, who did you send away? He said, his name is Nigel. I said, that's a friend of mine. He said, he's not Nigel. I was busy on the phone and go away. I mean, where did he get his manners? I don't know. It's just what happens when you're desperate. You just have to go out with anybody. Hope he heard that. Anyway, yeah, judgment. The judgment of Paris, he made a bad one, and so forth.
So you've got to make So going back to greed then, because we were sort of wandering into the world of lust, but going into greed, you said.
Well, wait a minute. No, lust is another one of the 7 deadly sins. So
Yes, I know, but we started off this intellectual conversation of the bone of which I've picked up and we're running with, on the idea that it's money that made people go from England and go into America, and all of that. It was all about the money. And I was putting out the point, but people might wanted to have had, they may have had a crap life in England, and they thought we might have a better chance to go somewhere else and do something better.
Well, it was, they got a lot of free stuff when they came over here.
What,
land.
What do you mean?
They got land.
Oh, they got land. Well, and from being in England, who I don't know if you've ever been to England, but we are small. That probably appealed.
Times. Yeah. No, I've been to England. I usually spend a month every year in England.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, you've said. I actually remember now. So
yes.
Yes.
And then when they wanted the West opened up, they urged people to move west by giving them homesteads.
Right.
Free land. I mean, and they were considerably big, like 200 acres or something. They were large pieces of land. Of course, they didn't tell the people that, well, you're likely to be killed by Indians or drought, flood, starve to death.
Now you're referring to different types of people, and from what I understand, and my knowledge of all of this is very limited, that you've got the colonists who went over. So who are the people talking to the colonists to go west?
That came after we became a separate nation.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to say 1830, maybe early 1800s, and they wanted the West opened up.
Who wanted the West opened up?
The powers that be.
But who? They're not the English. We're not talking about back in England. We're talking about
no.
The colonists.
The English had nothing to do with us after that.
No.
And we had another war with them in 1812.
Right.
But other than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
They washed their hands of us.
The English did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, because if we'd stayed together, we could dump all our bills on you people. Think about that.
Absolutely. So I'm just trying to get the picture in my head, because you keep referring to theys, and I'm just trying to identify who these they are.
These were government measures to open up, United States government measures to open up the West, for instance. Right.
So the government people have been, because you took democracy, or they brought democracy with them, and you set up your strange system of government over there that you have, which is obviously different from our strange system of government.
Right.
But people could vote for these people who then said, we want you to go west, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure.
So all I'm just trying to establish who it was who wanted the other they.
So it was a national policy, promulgated by the federal government.
Yes.
And yeah.
So, but aren't they the people that did go west, who went and were given all these homesteads and this, that, and the other? They were still trying to presumably better their lives, were they?
Well, sure, but I mean, if a guy has $1 billion of assets, and he then makes a lot of money more, and he has now $3 billion, his life is greatly enhanced.
Yes.
So it's
but
just a matter of.
There comes a point though when if you have $1 billion and then you could make another 10 billion, does it really make that much difference? Your life isn't that greatly enhanced, is it? If you've got $1 billion, you can pretty much do anything you like. Another 10 billion?
Up to a point, yeah.
It's sort of like.
I'll give you an example. Bloomberg. was a candidate for. He was hoping to be a candidate for president. Michael Bloomberg.
Yes.
He's a former mayor of
New York.
Had 3 terms.
Yeah.
Yes, and so he started his campaign. He said he was going to use his own money,
which he did.
He's worth $60 billion, by the way.
Yeah. So
he spent $500 million on an aborted campaign. Even if you're a billionaire with a lousy $1 billion, kind of on the pauper end of rich people, you cannot afford to spend $500 million in order to run for president. So, yeah, it's just a question of, what your goals are. I mean, other billionaires are trying to influence national policy through the use of their mega bucks.
Yes.
So,
I suppose I'm still just...
Rich isn't like what it was. Being rich isn't like what it used to be. I mean, to be a millionaire nowadays, that's nothing.
Right. Okay. I was just trying to steer the conversation back onto this idea of following the greed aspect that you introduced, to say that in essence, if you want to better your lives, it's greed. That
you have to have a little bit of greed or a lot of greed in some people's makeups, which is okay. Like you have to have a little bit of gluttony. Yeah. Gluttony is another sin. You will be banned to perdition if you are too gluttonous. But it's okay to feast every once in a while in celebration of something like a wedding or some big occasion, and you're feasting and you're having far more food than you normally would, and you could consider that gluttony. It's just a question of degree.
Yes.
Okay.
But somebody somewhere decides when you step over the line.
Yes, they probably would.
Well, because if you can have a little, like we said before, you can have a little bit of greed, but at what point, and that's okay, and then at what point does a little bit of greed become too much greed? Who's making that choice that it's too much? Isn't that a matter of perspective? Because a lot of people,
we all have to make our own decisions.
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of people who get upset when people have a lot of money, and they say, "Oh, well, that person's got too much money." And okay, that's their opinion, but it depends what that bloke's doing with that money. If that bloke's employing 800 people and nurturing 800 families on the back of that money, then maybe that's not a bad thing.
Well, no, nothing would ever happen if people didn't act that way.
Yeah, so
we'd have no business, we'd have no employment, we'd have no jobs.
Exactly.
We'd have nothing.
So the entrepreneurial spirit to go and improve your life isn't a bad thing. And
not at all.
Yeah, and the greed actually can be a good, as you said, greed, but I mean, then that's a good thing. So there we are. And so that greed has made people build the stuff, and you've got the 17th century architecture that we might call Georgian or what have you, but we
call classical.
There we are. So
something other dull,
So do you think I've picked up the bone and we've had an intellectual conversation?
I'm very proud of you. And yes, you've conducted yourself in a highly intellectual manner.
Fantastic. Can I go back into the gutter now and just carry on with my...
It's not nice to call your viewers gutter people. It's very rude. Why don't you put a nice video on? That last one was jolly good, and I'd like to see another one.
All right. Well, I'm nothing if I cannot serve, so I will do that immediately. Thank you very much for calling, Barbara Charles.
Okay, thank you.
Look after yourself. Go back to your bloke. He needs his homemade meal.
Oh, God, he's so demanding.
I know.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. That was the lovely Barbara Charles. She said herself, desperate. And she's now going back into the kitchen to make her bloke a homemade meal. Good job that it's homemade and fresh and nice and lovely. So delicious, delicious. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and see what they chat about at their table of an evening. So, as she said, let's go and have another look at a video. But quickly, before we do that, it's my duty also to have a look at some of the comments in there. Can't people spend their own money the way they want, says Mike Stevens. Yes, I think they jolly well ought to. Connor's Dark Corner, Barry, what's your channel name? I wish I had a channel called the English Channel, but I think people might just sail over it. Val says, who wants to be a millionaire? In the words of the song from the great movie, I Do. Of course, you've got to pay all the taxes and everything. Val also says, but not at any cost. We need to distribute wealth more evenly. That's a good conversation, isn't it? Barry says, Connor talks about his thing. Ed Wolf says, thanks for the video. It was fab, says Barry. Robin Marshall, hello Robin, says, got back from a haircut. Oh, well done, sir. Absolutely great. No longer looking like the mad professor in Back to the Future. Oh, what a shame. Think of all the lookalikes that you could have done and appeared in. That would have been absolutely amazing. There with the, what was the what's the name of that car? Dorolian? Dorinian? I can't remember. Derulian? There's a word that I cannot reach. I cannot reach it tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I did try. Jen's Allotment says it was a lovely video. It was indeed a lovely video. What else? I thought it was the Americans who wanted independence, not the other way round. That's true. I missed my video being played. The brass band on Ilkley Moor Bar Tact. Yes. Oh, Ed Wold. I did look out for you, and I asked many times. I said, "Is he there? Is he there?" And we played it, and but luckily you've seen it before. Or at least I hope you have. So there we go. That was marvellous. So if anybody else wants to... DeLorean. Yeah, they are. DeLorean. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Are the barbers open now? Says Mark Selwood, who also is looking somewhat wayward, I imagine, which is great. We will go into the video box, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what we do on this show, with a little twirl of the twirl of the whist. We are there. Woo! And who do we have in the video box tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to have a little look at? To be honest with you, I think I went one step too far. We have, we've got 2 more videos. We've got the lovely travelling duo Barry, and we have a moment of madness. We have the Andrew Norris moment, of course. So it's eeny, meeny, miny, just on the basis that Faden may be watching and wanting to see his video go out, and then he may want to sort of nip down the pub and have a few pints. We'll go to the travelling duo Barry and Faden, who, I must say, you are travelling around the countryside. They're down in Dorset today.
Today we are walking Old Harry's Rocks, Dorset, and also don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we're going on a walk to Old Harry's Rocks in Dorset today. We're now on the cliff edge, Old Harry's Rocks, or walking up to Old Harry's Rocks. I'll show you, pan round. There's apparently some Celtic earthworks here in a field where the farmers used to live. I'll try and seek them out. Here we are at Old Harry's Rocks, right on the edge of the cliff. Look how blue the water is down there. Looks like a blue lagoon. Good for crabbing down there. Pan around. Another view of the cliffs. Pan round to what I think is the Isle of Wight. See that on the camera. See the cliffs over there. I think that's the Isle of Wight. Show you these cliff faces, the colours of these rocks and the graffiti people have etched into them, faces and things.
Oh yeah, and also there's like a cool bit of sand on it.
Yeah, it looks like it's fallen off of the cliff at some recent times.
Yeah.
Lovely colours. And we've also found some kind of, looks like a military, like a pillbox type thing, a gun box. I don't know what you call these. Anyone that knows, feel free to put it in the comments. I assume that's what it is, something military.
Oh yeah, there's also some different coloured stones there as well.
Yeah. Try and look at it from this side. We're on the Jurassic coast, so you find lots of fossils and things like that.
There's lots of sandstone.
There is, yeah.
So this is what it would look like for the gunners, even though it would be a little bit higher. But yeah, this is what it would look like. Pew 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 pew. This is what it looks like inside. I could imagine like loads of well, not loads, but I could imagine some people in it like fighting for war, shooting planes and everything. Get back to you in the next one. That's how Jurassic Coast finished. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
There we go, the travelling duo down on Old Harry Rocks. Magnificent. That young lad is getting about, isn't he? He's going to be the most travelled young lad in the country, which is fantastic to see. Well done. Thank you so much for both of you, Faden and Barry. Lovely to see you. Looking forward to see where you're going to go next. Ed Loud, yes, you've reminded me. Sorry, I have got your... what do you mean failed? What do you mean failed? Hang on a minute. Let's... I don't know whether I downloaded it or didn't downloaded it, but because it was yesterday, I often forget and I clear the system and then I go, right, okay, what videos have we got? And you're quite right. You're quite right. I should have done it. And it is... I'm downloading it in the background, so I'm hoping that this isn't going to stagger too much. I can't download things while they're playing another video out because the system doesn't... It is a bit overloaded for the system, so that's all right. No need to rush it. Never mind. It was a very rough one. Well, we want to see the rough. I want to see a bit of rough. I like a bit of rough, you know. Oh, yeah, a bit of rough and tumble. All good fun. We've got a moment of, not a moment of Murphy, reset. Hello, I'm Richard Vobes. Welcome to the Andrew Norris moment. We've got a bit of that coming, but not until it's downloaded, which will be a bit of time. Now, Dave Ford did send something. I don't know if the lovely Dave Ford is out there. He did send a video to me, but he sent it in 4K. 4K. Ideally... Please send them in 720p. P stands for progressive, which is HD, but it's the lower res of HD rather than standard HD, because the way this system works, it's not me, it's the way YouTube and OBS prefer to put it out, because the bit rate is going to be smaller and the file size will compress better. when it goes out. It has to be in 720 so it doesn't stagger along. So if you are sending something in, then 4K, and I don't know how long your bit was, Dave, but it was just under a gig to download and then to put through Handbrake my end, which ties up the computer for about 20 minutes or something whilst it's trying to process that. And often there's a number of others that just need to be processed. So when it's like that, I just can't do it. And I do ask, if you like your video, and we love your video to be shown, please don't send it in 4K. Gosh, it really isn't necessary. But there we go. Roy Ballinger says, interesting video. It was very interesting. I must go down to the Old Harry Rocks sometime myself. I have to say, though, I was so worried. I kept thinking any minute now Faden's going to fall off the way you were peering over there. I was like, oh, my giddy aunt. Used to go to the island of Portland at this time of year, says Steve G, for several years. Isn't there a prison on there? Oh, no, it's a different place. Dawn Coping says that have coloured sand. Yes, they do, don't they? Like on the Isle of Wight. Although I've been told you can go to the Isle of Wight and buy a file of, or a test tube of coloured sand. It doesn't come from the Isle of Wight at all, so I've been told by the lovely Elizabeth Housden, who used to live on the Isle of Wight. It says it's all a con. It's all a con. They couldn't do that, couldn't possibly do that. There would be no sand left. Those seams of coloured sand, so it's all done in a factory somewhere, and people go and buy it. It's trade's description, really. Although I bet if you looked at the small print, it would actually say it may not necessarily come from the Isle of Wight. Turbo Stream says, and mine, Mark. Oh right, okay. I had a long selfie stick. Since I love his rants, says Ed Loud, I'll send one in 8K just to get an extra rant in the pants. Thanks. Yes, I don't want any of that. It says the clip, it was a blooper. It was from a video shoot, all done in 4K, so I couldn't send it in 720. Don't bother showing it. It's not a problem. Cheers, Dave. It's. I mean, I don't know how long it is. I just know it was a gig in size. No, it'd be fun to see it, but it doesn't. Even though you've shot it in 4K, you could edit it out and put it through something like Handbrake, and then send it. And it would be useful for you to do that, because then you wouldn't be sending such a big file through the internet. You could do things much quicker. Just trying to be helpful. Linda's talking to Jen and what have you. Right, now then, I've managed to get that downloaded, so we'll play that in a minute. But let me close all these unnecessary windows that are on I've just completely opened them all up again. Right, so how do we do this? Oh yes, no we are. Let's go back in the video box. There we go. Let's find out first of all what Andrew Norris has been up to, because Andrew Norris, I have to say, as you will see, and as you know, Andrew Norris there's a sort of wistful nature about Andrew Norris. He's very I don't know how to describe it. I mean, this is I'm trying to be complimentary. I'm not actually trying to be insulting for a change. Andrew Norris, he's a very wistful, gentle sort of person, and you'll see that. And I this is why I like Andrew very much, because he knows the names of things. And there's this sort of very tender, there's a tenderness that I think is lacking in a lot of people, certainly from me. So let's find out what Andrew Norris has been up to in the lovely Croatia. Croatia.
Hello Vobesters, I'm back in the village, and what a difference in the space of a week or so. A whole range of new wildflowers have appeared. Just look at this meadow. Here is a delicate blue-purple flower. I don't know the name of this one, nor the name of these little yellow ones, but I'll try and find out. But we have here a kind of vetch. I don't know what the particular name of this one is, and adjacent to it is this purple vetch. Beautiful, I love this one. I find it amazing there's such a wonderful variety in one meadow. But just behind me here, behind Mara's house, Mara was our good neighbour, and she owned Zorro until she died, and then we took him over. But just behind her house, I found a whole bunch of three-toothed orchids. Look at these beauties. And here. And here. And here. Here is a big collection of dog rose. These blue ones are called sheepbit. And these yellow ones have a name I can't pronounce, so I'll put it as a subtitle. And growing here is Carthusian pink. This is meadowsweet, a favourite plant of Edward Thomas. I was out walking today and I found this remarkable example of a bird's nest orchid. It's the first one I've ever seen. Now this meadow is special for another reason, in that it is the only location where I found the lizard orchid growing. And it's only because since Mara died, no one's been cutting the grass here. And so every year for the past 3 or so years I've been coming here and keeping a note of the lizard orchids when they appear. And the most we've ever had is about 14. So I'm very excited and hopefully to see them again this year. And when they come up I will certainly let you know. It is beautiful, beautiful meadow here. Such a variety of flowers. Not least this beautiful three-toothed orchid.
Of course, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. It's all an act. It's all an act. There's your little, he's the voice of this and all of that. I've met Andrew Norris in the flesh, as others have, and we did some filming together. And in between, oh my goodness, yeah, it's a lot of all this and effing this and blinding that, and yeah, Richard, yeah, okay, no worries, mate. Yeah, I'll do a bit of that. Hello, it's Andrew Norris, and then you just switch it on, and he would be a different person. It'd be like, my God. Who is the two different faces of Andrew? It's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, both of them are very... I'm making that up, obviously. I'm making that up. What you see on the screen is what you get in real life, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. Unlike me, who turns into some egotistical maniac off camera and is very calm, collected, and very surreal on camera. Anyway, I don't know. Really nice to watch. Love those flowers. Love the meadow sweet. And the grasses over there, I have to say, why are not our meadows looking like that? We hack them to death. We put fertilizers on to death. Ed Loud, another rank coming up. And we just kill them off. And how wonderful that the variety and the diversity of all those different plants and the little pockets of different wildflowers and grasses. Absolutely marvellous. Love it very much. Thank you so much for sending that in. That's brilliant. It's so interesting seeing a sort of an England 80 years ago before we ruined it, as H.V. Morton said, especially in Sussex, as he said in his book 80 years ago, how we have ruined it. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Kevin. I haven't heard from Kevin tonight. I wore his jumper in honour of him. This is a jumper that Kevin purchased for me, but I don't know what's happened to him. He's probably still walking somewhere, or editing, or having a sleep, or having a meal, or painting and decorating, or who knows? Who knows? What we should tell him is that we played the plank. We should tell him that we've played the plank in tonight's show and have a good old laugh when we see him next and say, oh, Kevin, you should have been here yesterday. Richard played the plank. It was marvellous. It was great. That's what we should... Okay, we'll do that. Unless he's actually just there but not bothering to type, probably. Knowing Kevin, I know what he's like. Anyway, let's now see. Jeff Keller says that we were emailing back and forth a couple of hours ago. He's fine. Yes, he's probably... Kevin... You're just watching from the sidelines tonight, aren't you? I know you. Right, let me see if I can work out how to get Ed's video on without destroying the mechanism that holds this all together. There is a little bit of sticky back plastic and chewing gum holding all this together. So if I come over here, is it, was it called Falcon to Eltham Park? Is that what your thing was called, Ed? Because that's what's on the screen, and I'm rather hoping, I'm going to have a quick look at the properties, and rather hoping that it is 720. Oh, yes, what a good boy. What a good boy. So this should play pretty much straight away. So let's have a look at it. All rough and ready, he says. I'm sure it's polished to the nth degree, because we know what Ed's like. Let's have a look. It's all about the journey. Let's have a look and see. Ed Loud up there near Greenwich.
Hello everyone, it's Ed here again. I'm just up on this very noisy bridge above the A2. Behind me there, you might just be able to catch the rolling fields of Kent. And with the camera looking this way, you're looking into London and the Royal Borough of Greenwich.
Coming down off the bridge, we soon find this sign welcoming us to Greenwich.
You're joining me at the start of a new project where I'm going to do a circuit basically. I'm going to walk on walks that myself and my grandfather used to do quite a lot and join them all together.
As I get further into this project, we'll be able to plot the walks on a map. Perhaps when I'm long gone, some soul will wish to follow and see how things have changed.
At the moment I'm right next to the A2 still, which is rather noisy, so I just hope when I get home my voice makes the edit. However, due to the lockdown, the A2 is not as busy as it normally is, which is perhaps a small blessing. Now we're coming up to Eltham Cemetery, which is really in Falcon Wood, bizarrely. Behind me you can see the gates with the coat of arms of Woolwich. Eltham and Woolwich sort of merge into one almost. They're both in the Royal Borough of Greenwich. And as I walk past that place, I think of my granddad, because that was where we had his funeral. There's the slipway leading off the A2, and there's a bridge leading over the A2 towards Falcon Wood, and my path leads down here to this easy to miss little footpath. What does really strike me as I walk along here is that I don't really know the name of this path. I don't know if it has a name. I know very little of the history of it, other than what I've learned about the A2 over the years. Just behind me there is the path I've been walking down. And here is a bridge which crosses into Eltham Park North over the A2. Behind me here is Eltham Park, Eltham Park South. Eltham Park has been cut in half by the A2, of course, so the bridges across this section of the A2 are very important.
After that half a mile walk, we have this beautiful park to look forward to. So I'll meet you all again here next time. Cheerio everyone.
There we go. How about that? Absolutely brilliant. I was fascinated watching everybody working out the tea, whatever they call the tea cage, which is brilliant. I used a tea strainer to protect the microphone. But yeah, how lovely out there and the thing. I forgot about the haircut and the dark glasses. Absolutely fantastic. How about that? Nice Morris Chevalier microphone. Itchy leg, just got to scratch it. So there we go. Now the thing is, I downloaded that. I've not actually seen it. I mean, I sort of just seen it, but I can't hear it. So I just had to put that out blind. I will now go and actually listen to it. So it's interesting what you said about the microphone inside a sponge on the inside. See, the whole concept, of a microphone in a cage. Here's a professional cage, okay, and the idea is that the microphone sits, this is a shotgun microphone, the microphone sits in its own environment. In other words, inside there's space around the microphone. That's the idea that you're trying to achieve. So that nothing is touching the microphone. It's making a touch here, so it's not ideal. But mostly in the area where the pickup is, nothing is touching it. It's suspended in there. And this then becomes, so the wind comes along, hits this, bounces off, doesn't penetrate through and hit the microphone, because microphones are sensitive to wind. The problem with having just a fluffy is when it's very windy, the wind hits this, which is attached to the microphone, so you still hear a sort of noise. You still get that on the microphone. And the idea of the tea, what do you call it? The tea brew thing, cage. The idea of putting it inside a cage, you want to try and suspend it inside the cage. So if my hand is a cage and you've got this thing suspended in there like this, so that there's air that's not moving. So the wind hits this and doesn't penetrate, but sound does. So I don't know, but my thought would be that if you've got the sponge on the inside, if the sponge is attached to the inside of the cage, then you'll still hear the wind. But if the sponge is not attached to the outside of because basically the microphone's got to be separated from the environment it's in. I'm making that sound more complicated than it really need to be. But there you are. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, coming up to the end of the show. Thank you so much. Brilliant video. Thank you very much for sending in all the videos. I hope that you'll do that again. The sponge was not touching the mic, and the mic was held tight and suspended. Oh, well done. What a brilliant... And presumably it worked. I mean, I haven't heard it, so I have no idea. Obviously, the next thing is to hide the cage so that doesn't become the thing that we all look at. But we were admiring you in your suit and your sexy shades and the nicely polished head and the new image. So, we were barely noticing. We were barely noticing it. But as people had noticed it, I just thought it was worth explaining how the theory is. You should... so should the sponge be on the outside of the cage? The way I would do it, the way I do it with a tea strainer... The way I use a tea strainer because it's it's a segment of it's half a round, it's half a sphere, and I hide mine in the jumper, you see, out of necessity, and I have a bit of tape actually across the front of the, it's in the other room, I can't actually show you it, but so you know what a tea strainer looks like. So if this is there's the handle. This is the cagey bit of the tea strainer. If I had it this way up, you would pour your liquid into that and it would filter out the bottom. Okay, handles there, like that. See, that's the strainer. There's the cup. There's the that's right. Hang on. That's the handle. That's the tea strainer, like that. Tea goes in there like that. So if I take that up this way, these are the holes. So if I come around here, I put across here a piece of gaffer tape because the wind is coming mostly this way. So I don't want it to hit the microphone at all. My microphone, being a tie clip mic, is suspended. You can't see. Is suspended here inside, pointing upwards. So when it's on me like this, wind comes here and doesn't get to the microphone. Some wind might come over the top, but it's also inside a tiny little bit of fluff. But in Ed's case, what I would be tempted to do is to have the microphone suspended inside the cage and put a bit of fluff on the outside of the cage, so that you continually have space around the microphone in its own microclimate, which is still air. You just want still air around the microphone. So lots of air comes here, but it doesn't penetrate in the microphone. if it's touching the microphone, you'll hear it. It's that thing about it's handling noise. You'll hear it because it's hitting whatever on the microphone. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna it goes through the object. So it has to. So like this microphone here is suspended. It's actually suspended by elastic bands to this ring, so that if I bash the floor or bash this, the sound vibrations don't come up the arm, because all it will do is it'll rock here, but it won't. But the absorption is being taken by these elastic bands. So that's why that is suspended. You see, and it's and the. I give up. You get the idea. So not a sponge, but a fluffy object. Yes. A sponge is okay. You know, it depends on the strength of the wind. A light wind, a sponge will be fine. But one of the problems, if you've got a camera, say you've got a phone and the microphone's on here somewhere, and so what you can do is you can use a bit of fluffy and stick it on over the microphone, and that might work in a light breeze. But when you've got a bit more than a light breeze, you're still going to get sounds. You're still going to get that, because what's happening is the wind is hitting this, rustling, and it's making physical contact with the microphone or the housing of where the microphone is. So I come back to that theory that if the microphone, I'm just trying to find something that can demonstrate it a bit better. So basically, you've got your cage, your microphone's inside the cage. I would put fluffy stuff on the outside of that so that the wind comes, is deflected by the fluffy, doesn't penetrate through, and the microphone is protected on the inside. And if you still get a bit of wind noise, you could put a tiny bit of fluffy on the microphone, suspended in its own environment, with the fluffy on the outside. But you don't want to do too much fluffying, because you'll muffle the microphone in the end, and then in the end you'll have perfect no wind, but you won't also get the audio. Running out of power, says Dawn Coping. But nice to see you, Dawn. Fluffy object on the outside would have been better, but didn't have. Yeah, no, and it's not a criticism at all. I think it's ingenious what you did. Please don't think that. And I think that little tea brewing thing is a perfect thing. It's hiding it then, so it doesn't become the main problem. That's what you see. And it's always, I hate seeing the microphone that I wear with a fluffy on. I often have it down here under, if it's just the microphone with a fluffy, most times it's clipped here underneath my jumper and you barely notice it. Sometimes in the professional television stuff, they will sew microphones into the shirts or into jackets, and it would be hidden and wired in the actual clothing. A lot of the time, of course, they're taking audio on the boom. They may do both. It depends how important it is, but audio is the most important thing. And of course, a lot of the time they will redub it in the studio. So they've taken the audio and you've got something on the camera, and then the actors will stand and watch the screen and reproduce what they said close-ish to a microphone. And then the sound mixer will make it sound like it was actually done on location. It's ever so clever. So there we go. Last minute measure, as the wind picked up, I plan to make a better one. But I think that is a great gadget to have. And I would be inclined to try half a sphere and have that. I mean, you could suspend it on a string. That's what I do with the thing, and have it under the jacket somewhere, or in a pocket here or something. Anyway, sadly it wouldn't reach under my shirt. It was attached to the mobile phone microphone. But yeah. Anyway, workshop over. And Vobe show over. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for all the messages and for watching and to everything. Thanks to Judith and to lovely Julia for doing all your wonderful moderating. Thanks for coming along, and I will catch up with you in the future, probably tomorrow when there's a video waiting to be seen. But I must go now because it's getting late and I've got lots to do and I'm up early and out and all of that. So thank you. Take care, one and all. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves. Whatever you do, keep doing it. And from the Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi, goodbye. Goodbye. And that's the Wednesday show done and dusted. And it would be all about microphones at the end. I don't know. I want to talk about tea strainers.